Hey everyone, it's Leslie at Leslie's Cookies and Treats, and today we're making 7 different cookies for a 4th of July cookie platter. Start out by making a large 5-petal flower, about 3.5 to 4 inches, and flood it with white royal icing in about a 15-second consistency. Use a scribe or a toothpick to pop any air bubbles and settle the icing down if needed, and then set it aside to dry. Once the white icing has dried for about 30 minutes to an hour, you can pipe a blue circle in the center. And cookie number 1 is done. For number 2, we're going to outline and flood in a small 2-inch flower with white royal icing and set that aside to dry. Then, using a 20-second royal icing in red, pipe a small center to the flower, and using blue royal icing, put some stitches along the outside edge. The red royal icing for the center should be dry enough now that you can take some cornstarch and a flat spatula or knife or whatever you have and flatten down the center. Then, dipping your scribe or toothpick in the cornstarch, make holes for the button. When the button dries, the cornstarch will dissolve into the frosting, or you can brush it away with a soft paintbrush. Then add a blue stitch to sew the button on, and this cookie is done. For cookie number 3, we're using the same 6-petal 2-inch flower cookie, and we're going to outline it into 6 separate sections. Fill in 2 of the petals and set it aside to dry for at least 10 minutes. While waiting for these petals to dry, you can continue to outline and flood in 2 petals on the rest of your flower cookies. After letting the 2 petals dry for about 5 to 10 minutes, you can add in the last 2 petals. Let the cookie dry for another 10 to 20 minutes, and then you can pipe in the white center. Once the white center has completely dried, you can add the blue dots around the outside, and that cookie is done. For cookie number 4, using the same little 6-petal 2-inch flower, outline and flood in the cookie with blue royal icing in about a 15-second consistency. Let that dry for about 20 minutes and then add a swirl in the middle. And this cookie is done. For cookie number 5, I'm using more of a 5-petal star-shaped flower. I'll leave links in the description for all of the cookie cutters I used. Anyway, outline and flood in 2 petals of the star flower. Like the other red flower, let those 2 petals dry for at least 10 minutes and then go back and add in 2 more petals and let that dry for 5 to 10 minutes. Pipe in the last petal and let it dry for about a half an hour. Add a blue dot to the center, and then when that dries completely, add little tiny white dots all over the center of the flower. I also made these cookies in blue flowers, so you can make them whatever color you want. And these cookies are done. For cookie number 6, I'm making red, white, and blue eucalyptus leaves, so start by piping out your branch with green royal icing, and then add a big red dot to the top. Take a piece of parchment paper and stick it right on top to flatten it out and let it dry completely. Do the same thing with red a little farther down. Once it's dried completely, the parchment paper should peel right off, and then go and add blue eucalyptus leaves and do the same thing, and then some white, and let those dry completely before adding the last leaf. So for our final cookie, we're going to be dipping the cookie into royal icing. So I've got royal icing in white in a bowl in about a 10 to 12 second consistency. Squeeze some blue and some red royal icing right into the white royal icing, and then take your scribe or toothpick and kind of blend it in a little tiny bit. Put your jar cookie face down on the icing and tap on the edges. Pick it up and shake off the excess. You can turn it over and give it a little shake to settle the icing down. If you see any air bubbles or if it's dripping off the edge, use your scribe or your toothpick to clean that up. Repeat the process for the next cookie. You're also going to want to keep a wet paper towel or a washcloth handy because your fingers will get messy. Dipped cookies come out looking really nice, and you can also do this for your flower cookies if you want. It's a great way to use up leftover icing, and it's also a fun way for the kids to get in on the decorating. I want to make a tag for my cookie that says Happy 4th of July, so I'm going to use the royal icing transfer method and put a rectangle of icing on a piece of parchment paper and let it dry completely. And then I'm going to use edible markers to make some fireworks and then pipe in Happy 4th of July using royal icing in a stiffer consistency, probably about 25 seconds. I only put a little bit in the bag, and so I'm kind of holding my icing bag like a pencil or a pen, and that makes it a lot easier to write with. Once the tag is dried completely, just pop it off the parchment paper. And then we're going to add some string around the top of the jar that we're going to tie our tag to. Now you see here my icing didn't quite go down as planned, and so I'm using a paintbrush to move it into place and a scribe to kind of fix it up a little bit. To attach the tag, just put some royal icing on the back and put it down where you want it, and then add in the rest of the bow and the knot around the tag. And this last cookie is done, and now it's time to put it all together. You can put in as few or as many flowers as you would like, and this is a great platter to take to birthdays, Mother's Day events, wedding showers, you name it. Have a happy 4th of July, and thanks for watching.